Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial in Roblox Lua. Uh, Today we're going to learn about properties, which are all of these. I'm not going to cover all of them, obviously. I'm going to basically cover material, transparency, color, and all of that stuff. So yeah, let's get started. So in our script, I forgot to mention, make sure that you have this properties window open. To do that, just go up to view and click on properties. That's all you have to do. So now let's, here, let me delete this part. So let's create a new part, and let's name this my part, okay? I also forgot to mention in the last video, I will explain Boolean values. So a Boolean value is basically a value that can only be true or false. So like, for example, so like alive equals true, right? You're alive. Now if you were dead, you would be false, okay? That's basically how I can explain Boolean values. It's basically true or false. So if you see how there's a check mark right here, right? This right now is true. It's true that cast shadow is on. So this basically equals to true. But if we uncheck this, that's false, because there's no check there, basically. So that's basically what Boolean values are. So now, what we can do is, let's start by making a variable for our part. So local part equals game.workspace. So basically we're creating a variable named part. We're going into the game, and then we're going into our workspace, which is this right here, game.workspace, and then we go to my part. So now what we can do is we can make a new line here, some new lines, and then what we can do is we can do my part, my part dot. See, we have all of these. These are all of the properties inside of, well, they aren't just properties, they're not elements, these are called events. Events are basically just like events. So like dot touched, this event touched, like a player touched it. I will cover events later into this tutorial, but for now we're gonna cover all these basic properties. So let's do part.transparency. So part.transparency, we can do equals to. So right now our transparency is at 0. We can do 0.5. Alright, so if we run this, you'll see the part becomes a bit transparent, because we basically wrote the script. Another thing, you can test your code by just doing print part has became transparent. So if we stop this and run the code, you'll see part has became transparent. This is a good way to test your code to make sure that it works, and a lot of people do it. So another thing, we can edit the anchored. So if you don't know what anchored is, if you're new to Roblox and Roblox Studio, you probably know that your parts will fall when you try to build something. So like we play, see, it falls. Now if you don't want it to fall, you have to anchor it. Now there are 3 ways to anchor your part. Actually 4 ways. First is to click on it and click this button here, which is called anchored. Or you can click on the part and go down to the value or the property anchored. And another way is to go to model and click on this. There should be anchor somewhere, I think. another way is we can use a script, just like we did with the transparency. So what we can do, well, here, let me do this example. Part has became transparent. All right, the part has became transparent. We can also do part.anchored equals true. This is a Boolean value, so it's true now. So we can print part has became anchored. So if we run this, you'll see part has became transparent, part has became anchored. You can see that it's not fallen now because it's anchored. Another thing, I'll teach a simple loop, and basically what a loop is, it's well, actually I'll teach loops later on, because that's more really kind of an advanced thing, but it's also kind of a beginner thing. But it's good to know loops. So yeah, that's basically it for now. These are properties. You can have some bit of fun here, you know, messing around with these. Yeah. Next tutorial, I will teach you. What should I teach? I guess I will teach basic GUI stuff. I guess maybe basic GUI or Oh, I forgot to teach these the services. So there are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are a total of 14 services right here. So let's start with Workspace. So this is kind of self-explanatory, but Workspace, you can see by the earth, Workspace is basically everything here. This part, so let's say I move this part into, like, here, this part, I move this into players, you see it's gone, because everything in Workspace is going to show up in the game, right? Everything in here is going to show up in the game. Scripts can go in either here, they can basically go anywhere. So yeah, that's Workspace. Players is basically everything here. So if I play the game, if I actually go in the game, and I click on this arrow, see I have blogs, which is my name. This is me. See? This is me. So I can change the name, kind of. Well, not really. But yeah, you can basically see every piece of information about the player. You can see the name of the player. You can see their ID, their display name. So like if I name myself something else, yeah, Shinish. That's the display name property. Name is basically just your actual name, you know. User ID, you know, stuff like that. You can also see the age of the player. I'm pretty sure you can see the age of the player somewhere. But yeah, that's basically that. There's gameplay pause, which is like some new feature that was added pretty recently. Next service is lighting. So lighting is basically like the visual effects of your game. So like ambient, this is basically like if I change this color to like something like this, you'll see how it changes a bit brighter. Brightness is basically just the brightness of the game. So if I change this to 0, there's no light at all. 1 is a bit darker. 2 is the default, basically, which is 2. These are all just kind of advanced stuff. The only thing you really need to be worrying about is ambient and brightness. That's about it. in clock time, which is basically just the time. This uses the 24-hour clock, not the 12-hour clock, so please remember that. Replicate it first. I think this is for the server. This is kind of a really advanced thing. Same with replicated storage. This is basically where remote events sit. And I will teach remote events later on in the tutorial. It is basically like basics of remote events and stuff. Server script service is where you can put all of your scripts. I would suggest putting them here because I think they're harder for exploiters to get to when they try to break into your game and stuff. You can also keep everything, all your scripts and everything organized in server script service, which is really good. Server storage is basically the storage of the server. Back then, before server storage and all these properties were added, people used to store everything in lighting. But nowadays we have server storage, which you can also access with scripts. So like for game passes, that's where usually the items are and stuff. It's also good because exploiters can't get to stuff in here unless you put it in replicated storage, which they can get to. Starter GUI is basically the starter GUI. So like if I put a GUI in here, put a frame, you see I have a GUI, something on the screen, which is pretty cool. This is a GUI. I will teach GUIs later on because that's kind of an advanced thing. Starter pack is basically, so if I put a tool in here and play the game, starter pack is basically, see, I have tool. Starter pack is basically just a, it's basically where you put items, and when the player spawns, they will have them. Starter player is basically just the starter player, starter character scripts and stuff like that. Those are pretty advanced. Sound service, nobody really uses this. Same with chat. Nobody uses that either. Well, back then we had to enable bubble chat from the game configure page. Nowadays you can just put it in here. Localization service is like for translators and stuff. And test service is just for Studio. Basically, these are kind of useless. You don't really need them to know what they are and stuff. But that's about it. In here. Yeah. Next tutorial, I guess I'll teach you loops and functions. So yeah. See ya.